games were so huge, and people would get stuck on, level 8. And be like, oh, I can't get past it. Can't get past this guy. I'm supposed to sneak around this guy. They're not supposed to hear me. I'm supposed to choke him out. But then the guard up on the tower sees me every single time. How do I get around the guard on the tower? Well, turns out you're supposed to slide the garbage can in front first, get behind the garbage can, choke him out. He sees the garbage can. And
Is this Metal Gear Solid?
I made all of that up. But those are the things.
Kind of like that.
Yeah, those are the things you had to do back in the day. And it was really fun to have to flip through a guide. It taught you how to read. School never taught me how to read. Guides for video games taught me how to read. All right? This is where I got my extreme vocabulary.
From game guides?
Game guides. Learning how to play games and reading through endless charts and Excel spreadsheets and vast worlds. I don't know where I was going with that. I just thought it was really cool that we used to do that, and I don't know why they don't do it anymore instead of watch people scream on YouTube.
Yeah. Watch adults.
Yeah, they're
adults. Some of them are in their 30s.
Or older.
Yeah, or older.
There are older people out there that are doing this all the time, playing Among Us and screaming at their friends that are also playing online.
How dare they? I mean, it's not like they have a podcast.
No, do it on a podcast and then bitch about those people. That's what there should be doing.
We're really doing the exact same thing, really, when you think about it.
No, I'm not screaming at a video of myself playing a video game. Ah! Among Us! You're sus.
I don't like that game at all.
You're sus, bro.
And I know they did away with the dirty chat features, so I re-downloaded it for the kids. Do you know that?
No. They got rid of it?
Yeah. You were the one that told Marley that.
That they got rid of the chat?
They updated the game and they got rid of the chat.
I did not tell
feature. So now that I wouldn't let the kids play it because there was people in there doing all kinds of terrible things.
Right.
In those chat rooms.
It's like, I have nuclear codes.
Yes. There was Russian bots.
It was really bad.
No, there was bad language and it was not a good situation. And so I took it off all the kids' iPads and then, really just cache. And they released a new update, so they got rid of that. So you can only literally do you can chat still.
Okay.
But they're predetermined things that have to do with the game. You can ask one-word things or two-word phrases that are pre-populated now. That would not impede your progress of the game.
Yeah. Was it green?
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I saw orange in the lavatory.
Yeah. In the conservatory with the rope.
With the rope, yeah. It is like an updated Clue, isn't it?
Wouldn't it be fun? So I've always wanted, more than anything in the world.
More than anything in the world, this is what you've wanted.
I've wanted to have...
Really think about this before you say it.
Adult game nights, right?
Oh.
Have friends over and play board games. I love it.
We did that with you.
We did it once. But we don't do it very often.
No.
I want to do it all the time. I want to make it a weekly thing.
Okay.
But anytime I've brought it up to a lot of people, they're like, wow, no, we're not going to play games. We're adults.
What?
And I want to play different games. You know what I mean? I want to play Ticket to Ride.
Ticket to Ride.
Pandemic.
I've never played Ticket to Ride.
And I want to play Settlers of Catan.
That's an unbelievable game.
I want to play Clue.
Monopoly.
Maybe Clue Museum Caper. I don't want to play always. Now, we can throw in the occasional party game.
Yeah.
But that's not my bag. I want to play board games.
Board games. We need to get different board games every week that we play. I mean, we could do that.
I mean, I don't want to play Life or Payday.
No. These are we need big games, involved games.
Yes.
Games that are gonna make you have to think about life. That may even throw you into this.
Isn't that literally what the game of life is?
It might even throw you into this existential crisis that you're rethinking, why am I even here?
What is the meaning of this?
What am I doing?
Oh, that totally reminds me of what I've been watching. Okay.
What have you been watching, Christopher?
Something
Like
that relates
therapy?
to something that relates to that.
Therapy
And
videos?
Yes, in a way. I'll talk about it. I got one more piece of news.
Okay.
Per guest, per night pricing revealed for Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser Hotel.
Oh, per night, per guest. Okay.
Pricing. And it's supposed to come open spring 2022. Just so you remember the facts, it's a 2-night stay in a cabin or a suite on the Galactic Star Cruiser. Mm-hmm. It is an ongoing, immersive, and interactive experience where choices determine your experience.
Oh my gosh.
Food and beverage on the Star Cruiser, excluding alcoholic beverages, and quick service meals at the park, the docking bay, 7 food and cargo at Galaxy's Edge are all included. Admission to Disney Hollywood Studios for your planetary excursion to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge included. Valet parking, an exclusive Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser data band. So a magic band, but
right.
Star Wars themed. For a 2-guest per cabin, the voyage starts at $1,200 per guest per night for a total of $4,809.
Oh my gosh.
Just to reiterate, they're billing this as a cruise, right? It's like going on a cruise ship, like you would go to a cruise on the Caribbean.
I get it.
But all of the windows in this hotel are LED panels, and you're seeing like
space. So,
and then you get into a ship, and that ship takes you down to Galaxy's Edge at Disney's Hollywood Studios. So it's like you're taking the shuttle down, and then you go out and you do your thing at Disney World for the day, and then you get back on the shuttle, and it takes you back to your ship, just like a cruise. There'll be entertainment, there'll be shows, there'll be
it's awesome.
Games and experiences, just like a cruise. I have no idea what cruises cost, but I mean,
that sounds awesome. Like the whole thing, like the immersive world where you are in this world.
Yes.
I think is amazing.
There will be actors. There will be shows. Like that, you'll go to the evening entertainment.
I guarantee
like you would on a cruise ship.
There will be like a cantina band.
Oh, absolutely. Well, there is at Galaxy's Edge.
Is there?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's great.
So for 2 guests per cabin, that's $4,800. For 3 guests, that's 2 adults and 1 child. It starts at $889 per guest per night.
Wait, so if you have two adults and a kid, each one is
because you can fit in the same size room.
Okay.
So that's $5,299. And for 4 guests, so that'd be 3 adults and 1 child. Now that would include children under 3 are free. So
that doesn't count anything for us.
Okay, and they don't have pricing for 2 adults. It's weird that one of the price options is 3 adults, 1 child.
I know, that doesn't make any sense.
Why would they not do 2 adults, 2 children?
children?
Anyway, so let's assume that's a similar situation. It starts at $749 per guest per night for a total of $6,000. So let's assume you could bring your family of 5 if you fudge the number on Graham's age, which you probably can't get away with anymore.
Possible, yeah.
For $6,000. Is that something you do?
No.
For 2 nights. That includes all your food and drinks.
No, for 2 nights, no.
All your food and drinks. 2 nights, 3 days. 3 days admission to Disney World. So that's whatever that's worth. That's $300, $200 or $300 a person.
Well, how do you go to Disney World when you're in this other world?
You take the shuttle. I just explained all this.
Oh, so you literally leave. I thought you like dress as these people too. Like you dress.
You can if you want. I think they have robes and stuff. And
yeah.
I do believe it comes with a roughly $400 lightsaber.
Really?
3 or 4. You saw that in the. I think you get one of those, but I'm not sure. They didn't say that, so it probably isn't the case.
Yeah, but so you stay on this Star Cruiser thing, but you leave all day and you're hanging out at Disney, and then you come back.
Just like a cruise.
Yeah. Is there like things to do inside the cruiser?
Yes, that's what I said. There's entertainment. There's just like a cruise ship.
Like a lot of things to do.
I would assume.
I don't know.
There must be a pool and stuff like that.
I don't know if I'd do that.
Listen.
$6,000?
Oh, I'm sorry. There is one more option. There is one more option. Finally.
It's $2,000 a day.
Okay, do you want to know a standard cabin? So a standard cabin will sleep 4 to 5 passengers with a queen bed, 2 bunk beds, and a wall pull-down bed. It has 1 window with a view into space. So you could put your family in one cabin.
Yeah.
So let's assume that for all of them, for one cabin, you would pay $6,000 roughly.
I don't know. That seems like a lot for 3 days.
2 nights, even 3 days. 2 nights, 3 days. A 1-bedroom Galaxy class suite sleeps 4 passenger. A 1-bedroom, that's a 2-bedroom suite, the other one. A 1-bedroom suite has a queen bed with 2 pull-down beds and includes a living space and a bar area with 2 windows. And a Grand Captain suite is a 2-bedroom Grand Captain suite, sleeps up to 8 passengers with 2 queen beds, 2 bunk beds, 2 wall pull-down beds, includes living space plus 2 bathrooms and a bar and 3 windows. They all have spa tubs in there, all kinds of stuff.
I don't know. A little pricey for my taste.
How about me and you just go for the $4,000?
Well, I mean, $1,200 a person, right?
$1,200 per night per person.
Yeah.
So for $2,500 each, we could go.
Deal.
It'd be a little less than that, actually.
I would do that. Yeah. I would do that, but I can't get away with taking my whole family. Like,
so here's my thought.
I guess we could. But
This winter, since we usually go down to Orlando and like rent a house, and it's usually pretty cheap.
Yeah.
February timeframe.
Right.
We'll go down there, rent a house for like a week or 10 days. And then 2 of those days we can go do that. And they can stay at the pool.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in for that.
Yeah.
For sure. Absolutely. I'd be in for that for, like you said, the 2 nights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, there's no way we're going to be able to book one. They'll be booked for years
probably. Yeah. Because of all the Leonardo DiCaprios out there that are obsessed with Star Wars.
Leonardo DiCaprio?
I don't know if he is or not. I'm just saying he has a lot of money. So he's going to go as much as he can.
Oh, there's so many people to which they wouldn't even blink an eye at that.
I know.
I mean, we're in a country of 300 and some million people. So there's a million people that it wouldn't even like.
Yeah, it wouldn't affect anything in their lives whatsoever.
Right.
They could go tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then do it again next week.
Right. So if there's a million people that can't, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, I get it.
I think I could do it for one night. I might like wait a couple years and see if the price comes down. I don't know.
You're going to have to, there's, like you said, you'd have to schedule it out or plan it out a year in advance at this point. So when are they taking reservations? Are they already or?
I have no idea.
Oh, well, whenever they start taking reservations, if you haven't already got on the list, I mean, I don't think you're going to this year.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe it'd probably go to pass holders first.
Yeah. Most likely.
All right, where are we at on time?
Mostly. And just over an hour.
Because mine's all screwed up. All right, so we're done with news. We should do some what we're watching.
Yeah, we got it.
I can't, like this, it's not fixed. It's terrible. It's a travesty.
Absolute travesty
And
tonight.
it's ruining the audio podcast because we're talking about it all the time.
You do, yeah.
Just shut it off.
Just constantly your fault. You know? It's always on your end. I don't I don't know what you want me to say.
I think the issue is the internet connection.
Really?
Yeah, I just did a speed test. It was not fast.
No. What happened to your internet?
I don't know. Maybe I need to like reset the router.
Oh. Yep. Have you tried turning it off and turning it on again?
Usually works.
No.
It really does.
It really always does.
Anyway, so you want to get us started? Or no, you want to start with Jungle Cruise because we were going to talk about that first anyway, right?
Were we? Don't we have like a big thing to talk about after that, though?
Yeah, that's true. Okay, make sure we have enough time for all that.
We will.
All right. So real quick, since you haven't watched Batman, we're not going to talk about that till next week. There were many things I've watched, and I'm going to pick 2 of them. The first one being, I'll pick some more, but I watched this documentary on Netflix.
So did I. Woodstock 99?
No.
Oh.
You're going to love this one,
Okay.
though. Because way back in the day, I think what first got me super into Joe Rogan and then became, and this is years ago, and then became my go-to, if anybody ever asked me for a recommendation, this became my go-to. I'm like, go to this episode. And it was the episode with Paul Stamets.
Yeah, the mycologist. Yeah.
And then years later, it paid off because in Star Wars Discovery,
And we have a whole episode that's called or something about a fungi.
yeah, and that was a great episode.
Yeah, it was.
And look that one back up. It's in the first season 1, I think.
It's called
Or no, it's season 2.
Fungi,
Season 2.
like fungi, like mushrooms,
Yeah,
like fungi,
yeah.
fungi. But it was a play on words, where it's like fun guy. Like, wow, what a fun guy.
Yeah, I think everybody's aware of that.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't know if I was a little too deep.
So there's this documentary that comes out on Netflix. It's called Magic Mushrooms.
Oh, I
Just
didn't
came
see
out.
this.
I think it just came out. I don't know. And it's about mushrooms, the whole documentary. And I've seen previous mushroom documentaries that were not good or super boring. I tried to watch one when we were in the hospital having our third child. Marley was like, no, we're not watching
Not
this.
having that.
It was super boring. This one's pretty good. I think you'd really enjoy it. First of all, it's beautiful.
Really?
Like the images and the shots they get of mushrooms like growing and close-ups and stuff. Really beautiful. Paul Stamets is one of the main people in it. Super interesting dude. And they talk about not just psychedelic mushrooms, of course. They talk about all mushrooms and what they do for this world and how we don't understand them and how they are like the key to unlocking so many things. They do spend a good portion talking about the psychedelic effects of psilocybin mushrooms, which I just think is beyond fascinating.
It really is.
They have so
Amazing.
much research now, since it's been banned for research for so many decades now. They weren't able to get a good amount of research, but in the last 20 years or so, they've unlocked, so people have been able to study it a little more. And they've done these trials. They've done trials with cancer patients. They've done trials with people that are dying of a terminal disease. And this, not for a cure for that, but there's something about it that like rewires your brain
It's something about like quality of life.
big time.
Yeah.
So, in fact, up to the point where it's like basically being claimed that like having one of these experiences in your life is enough to like completely change the way you see the world.
What?
And
That seems astounding to me.
yeah. Oh, you just dropped out.
How did I drop out?
Your phone died.
It's plugged in.
It isn't charging apparently. We'll fix that later, so you can just see my pretty face for now. But
Interesting.
is it dead?
I guess. Yeah.
Well, we might lose Jerry on this one. what a mess of an episode.
What a nightmare.
Should we just shut it off?
I mean, just keep going. Who
Okay.
cares?
So anyway, this was very, very interesting. I'm super interested in the whole concept of it. So aside from that, which we can delve deeper into, I guess, but it is amazing. Some of these experiences that people say is they feel this like intense oneness with the universe
Yeah.
and things that they see, which is a lot of geometric fractals and patterns. And it gives you this unbelievably deep sense of interconnectedness. And the way they describe it is basically like being able to experience, whether you want to call it God or whether you want to call it nature or whether you want to call it like a connection to the universe, like you're able to feel that. So one of the main things
so
of
wild.
a psilocybin trip is, I can't remember the exact term, synesthesia. So like being able to see sound or being able
Oh yeah,
to
I've heard of that.
like hear colors or something.
Yeah.
You know, being able to one sense crossing over with another sense is basically what it means. And that happens a lot too. And you know, it's really interesting because once you delve into the rest of the thing with mushrooms, which is mind-blowing, is that they are massive. These underground mycelial networks.
Yeah, they're all interconnected.
And they're all interconnected. And fungi can communicate with each other.
That's the part that
So
blows me away.
there's literally, it goes back to what we've talked about before, is what we don't necessarily have the correct definition of what intelligence is.
Right.
So if these things are able to communicate with each other and they're able to exchange resources, know what areas to move into, to move away from, know when to release fruiting bodies, know when to reproduce, they're in constant communication with not only their own families, but other mycelium, they're vastly outnumber every other living organism on Earth combined. It's not even close by amount of species, biodiversification, and also just they're everywhere. And that their whole entire function is to take carbon life forms like plants and animals and return them to the Earth so that the cycle can continue. So that's super interesting. But when it dives even deeper into is plants, right? So the mycelial network is not like roots on a tree. These are neurons.
What?
These are like your brain neurons. So they are connections that are made one cell at a time that electrical impulses fire across, just like the electrical impulses in your brain. So it's literally like a giant brain.
Yeah, in the ground.
And if you think about it like say a alien species came to Earth with no rational idea of what they would find here. Mm-hmm. If they were to just objectively look at the Earth, they would think, well, humans aren't the dominant species here. It'd be, fungi.
Yeah.
Or, maybe bacteria and things like that. But there's so much more of that than there is of everything else. But as it relates to trees, so trees are able to pass nutrients and information over the mycelial network to other trees and communicate. Plants are able to communicate with each other
through the fungus.
The mycelial network of these. I don't want to call them roots because they're not.
Yeah, that's not roots.
But they're able to use it as a communication vessel, and then they're able to exchange nutrients with the mycelial network. So the mycelial network is able to bring in certain nutrients, and then the tree will exchange nutrients with that.
Exchange nutrients with the whole network? And like with each other?
With each other.
Through the network.
Yeah. So trees can be, say, in this area of the woods, and they're communicating between this network. And if a bunch of trees perhaps are struggling, the mother tree, which is a thing, by the way, which isn't just from Avatar, is able to allocate resources towards those other trees, which isn't the same tree. They're different trees, whether they're offspring or not.
Wow.
The largest living organism is one fungal network that exists in Oregon that is literally gigantic. It's all technically one organism. There is so much going on. It's not the most, it is a little bit slow, the documentary, but it's beautiful to look at, and it's vastly interesting. And then they start getting into the medicinal uses of all these different kinds of mushrooms, which are quite extraordinary. And also like all the things we can make out of them, like biodegradable packing materials and, even up to like power generation because of how these, like I think it was portobello mushrooms. If you heat them to 2,000 degrees, they're able to be a battery that is more efficient than a lithium-ion battery.
What?
Yeah, somehow. I can't remember the specifics of it.
Wouldn't you think that it would just like disintegrate into nothingness?
And there's not a lot of research happening because it's probably not a very well-paying,
No, I doubt.
Think about the money that pharmaceutical industry makes off of antidepressant drugs. Mm-hmm. And that's a lifetime, taking a pill every day.
Yeah.
It's a chronic condition.
Right.
And whether the drugs cure it or make it worse or carry it on, we don't know the answer to that. They think psilocybin mushrooms can treat anxiety and depression in 3 pills.
Really?
Yeah.
3 pills.
3 pills.
And it's just done.
It's done for maybe 6 months, maybe a year. You would have to maybe have another treatment at some point. It can wane a little bit. And it has to be done, they're studying this, like what's the best way to do it, Jerry's back.
I don't know if that'll work or not. I only have 7%, but it seems to be charging. So
back again.
Usually works.
So this is vastly interesting. I want you to watch it. And maybe,
that was on Netflix, you said?
Yeah. And maybe even we can have an in-depth discussion on how interesting mushrooms are, because it is mind-blowing to me. And I don't understand why nobody's talking about it.
You don't hear about it much. Over, I would say, the last 2 years, I've heard about it a lot more, and it is because of the Joe Rogan podcast and Paul Stamets being on there, and and all other people have been on there talking about the same thing, in different aspects of it. But I think it is becoming more and more like well known.
They're not an animal. They're not a plant. They're not an insect. They're their own kingdom.
It's like a being.
They're their own.
It's like another being.
Yeah, you look at the kingdoms, there's like plants, animals, insects, and fungi.
Yeah.
They're their own thing. We're more closely related to fungi, like in a common ancestor type of situation. They breathe the same as we do. They breathe in oxygen and out carbon dioxide, I believe. But they also facilitate plant life. That's the thing. They facilitate it 100%. They're what breaks down when a tree falls. They're what rots it, or
decomposes it.
An animal dies, they decompose it down. And they have studies that they've done with oil spills where they have had controlled oil spills. And in this area, they might use some sort of a chemical to try and rectify the oil spill.
Sure.
This one, they might use something else. They got like 5 spots. They got a control spot, whatever. And in one, they just seeded the area with fungal spores. They cover them all up for like a month, and they come back. And the one was seeded with the fungal, all the other ones are basically the same. And the one that was covered with the fungal spores has plants growing.
That's insane.
All that petroleum had been converted.
It's just gone.
Back to carbon and back down into the soil. It's so interesting. And it's something I'm going to like put some thought into on my farming, my agricultural practices, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah. That's kind of one of the things with cover crops, right? Is you want to create a green bridge, they call it. So once all the plant material dies in a field, there's nothing for like the mycorrhizal fungi to live off of. So they die. And then when you replant it, it comes back in the spring.
Yeah.
But if you can create what's called a green bridge, that activity continues all year long.
Right.
And that activity, that taking of the residue and this and that and bringing it down, rotting it, releasing it to the soil, building topsoil.
Yeah.
That's all key.
It makes sense when you think about it.
Chemical fertilizers, using that.
When I think about like planting crops into the ground, I think of them as using things out of the soil, pulling stuff out of the soil that you need to put back in.
They are, yeah. But we're doing that with chemicals. Right.
And when you think about even planting a cover crop, I still think of it as, well, it has to be using so much nutrients and stuff out of the soil.
But you're not harvesting. You're not taking it away.
Right, you're not. It stays there.
It's the grain you're taking away. So you're taking all the nutrients that are in the grain away.
Yeah.
And you're leaving the plant material.
Right.
Which has a lot of stuff too. And that's one of the benefits of like no-till and things like these, is because you're just letting it break down versus burying it, which expedites that process, right?
Right.
Because you're kind of churning it. There's lots of different ideas on it, but the idea is that you're just letting that residue sit and build up and build up and build up, break down, and you're letting your biological activity and the bacteria, there's less disturbance.
Yeah.
Earthworms are a big thing, because when you do no-till or minimum tillage, the amount of earthworm activity is insane. If I give you the statistics, I don't know it off the top of my head, about the amount of earthworms that live in an acre.
I mean,
it's an insane amount, but tillage destroys the habitat for earthworms.
Yeah.
So they're the ones that are taking that residue up. You can go out in a no-till field, you'll see earthworm hills everywhere.
Really?
They go up to the surface, they get the residue, they bring it back down. They poop all along the way.
Yeah.
That's part of it. But fungi is part of it, and soil bacteria, they're all, it's all interconnected.
It's crazy.
But specifically on this, it's this mycelial network, which is basically functioning as a neuron
in the ground,
which is so interesting. And then they're communicating with each other. Mm-hmm. Like, we just say that. That's groundbreaking. That changes the whole thing that you think or ever thought about the world, right? Is that these plants are communicating. These trees are talking to each other. That's intelligence. It's just not our definition of intelligence.
Yeah, it's not what you think of as most people think of as intelligence.
Maybe even it's a language. We don't know, because we can't
You could
understand
classify it as that. You could classify it as a language if they're connecting with each other or like communicating with each other in whatever way that is.
It's just not in the way. It's hard. You got to sit there and think about it. You're like, what does that mean, communicating with each other? Well, it doesn't mean what we're doing now. But what are we doing? We're just exchanging information back and forth.
You're exchanging signals back and forth to each other that gain you information.
Right.
And they're doing the exact same thing. They're exchanging signals to each other that give them information on whatever the signal was.
Yeah, whether it's, avoiding trouble or whether it's allocating resources. These are all what our language functions to do.
But then again, think of it as like if you're driving a vehicle. People are signaling to you all the time, and you're knowing what they're going to do without any sort of
verbal communication.
You're knowing what a car is going to do just by a turn signal coming on, or their flashers being on, or the brake lights, or them flashing their lights at you. You're thinking, oh, well, there's something ahead of me. Like you already know that, and they're doing that the same way.
But if but think of all of the things they're doing, and it's just
it's well far beyond just flashlights. You know what I mean?
No, but my point is it's beyond what we do.
It is,
which is just walk around and use resources.
It would be as if
you know what I mean?
Yeah. You're right, and it's as if we could communicate without ever speaking, and know everything that we needed to know in our entire lives without ever speaking or even seeing. Like that's what they're doing.
But they're doing it also in a way that's like. Maybe our definition of intelligence is consciousness. Maybe they don't have consciousness. Maybe
we've talked about that before.
I don't know, but it's just interesting.
Yes. We need to move on.
Yes, we do.
I also watched a documentary. It wasn't on Netflix now that I think about it. It was actually on HBO Max, but it's Woodstock 99. It's about the Woodstock concert that happened in 1999. A big, MTV produced concert, and they planned on bringing Woodstock back every 20 years, something like that, or it might have been less than 20 years. I think it was 20 because they did one in the 60s, and then they did one in the 80s, I believe, and then they did it again in the 90s, and they were going to continue to do it. I think it was 10 years that they were going to do it every 10 years. Anyway, so they brought it back in 99. I remember this happening. I remember it being a show. I remember that happening
as well.
I knew nothing about it.
I thought it happened every year, to be honest with you.
No, it was like every 10.
Okay.
And I didn't know the depths of this show and how absolutely horrific it was. It was not a good experience for basically anyone. The first day, it seemed to be going very well. And it just really devolved throughout the whole.
Yeah.
I don't remember how many days it is.
There was like no bathrooms. There was no facilities. There was nothing.
Yeah. It ended up being, there was some.
I watched a fictional movie that had Dimitri Martin in it.
Okay.
I think it was called like Finding Woodstock or something like that. And
yeah, it
was about that. Like it was about the formation of it because it wasn't expected to be what it was.
No. And it was massive, but I mean, there was there was huge bathroom issues where people, everything turned to mud. Yeah, there was literally mud people that formed out of this concert. It was called
Taking Woodstock. Was that Dimitri Martin movie? Dan Fogler's in it. We saw him.
We did?
Yeah.
Where?
Wizard World?
I don't remember him at all.
We just saw him. We didn't talk to him.
But there was a lot of issues with bands. Like once bands were getting up, that, most people couldn't hear them. They were having issues with their sets. But the biggest thing was just the amount of people there. And they had no control over this massive crowd. And there was just basically no infrastructure to support this. So again, I have said it already, but the bathroom issue was a big deal. But there was also no water. You couldn't get water. And it wasn't even thought of beforehand that it would be an issue for people to have to drink enough water.
And then there was no food. There was no anything.
Yeah, there was no supplies there. And it got to a point where people were dying because of it. And they were charging for water at a lot of the, alcohol stands and whatnot, but they were charging $8-9 for a glass of water. And then it got to a point where they didn't have any more, so they couldn't charge anymore. And people, it was starting to kill people. And then, but there was also this huge like issue with rape and like sexual assaults and abuse and things that were happening. And it devolved into like almost like complete anarchy.
Yeah.
Within the crowds. A lot of the bands never even noticed it because up front where people were still surviving basically and were watching the bands, it was fine. It was everything in the background that was going on that blew me away. And it was a really, I don't want to say it was depressing, but it almost got depressing. It's on HBO Max.
Okay. I want to see this.
It was
interesting.
Very, very interesting where everybody comes to a show with the mindset of like peace and love and hope and let's just party and have fun. And it just went off the rails almost immediately.
Yeah.
And it was pretty cool to see because you will remember every band, like just things that they talk about during the time. It's like right in our like wheelhouse of our childhood growing up. And I thought it was really interesting. I liked it. I love music and I love any documentary about music. And they did talk a lot about bands, but it was just about the absolute shit show that this became. And I had no idea.
Yeah.
It was like super tragic.
Where are we at on time?
Hour and 26 minutes.
All right. We should move on to Jungle Cruise. I'm not going to do any more what I'm watching. I'll mention what I'm going to, I've started watching. I started back up watching I'm going to watch season 9 and 10 of Walking Dead.
Oh, okay.
To get up to date on that.
All right. Good job. Good luck.
So we'll talk about that. Dave, I have completed the season. You got a couple more. So
I got 2 more to watch.
We'll talk about Dave next week. That was one of our favorite shows last year.
Yep.
You're not going to want to miss my review of that. And there's a new show I've been watching on Apple Plus called Smigadoon. And
Smigadoon?
And it's Cecily Strong from SNL.
Yes.
And Keegan-Michael Key.
Okay. I like
and they're like a long-term relationship couple, but not married, but like basically married, but like not happy and fighting.
Okay.
And they go on this like retreat to the woods.
And yeah.
They end up in this
basically
a musical, this town, which everything's a musical. It's like a musicals from like what we grew up watching.
I am sold on
40s
musicals.
and 50s, but they're stuck there.
I love that.
It's like a magical town. And they can't get out and back into they're both doctors. They can't get out of this town until they find true love. And so their relationship breaks down, but their people are constantly spontaneously breaking into song.
I love it.
And
already.
They're just like, what is happening? And I watched like the first 3 episodes. It's week to week now.
Oh.
And but
so aggravating.
But I had 3 that I hadn't seen that I caught up on. Yeah. And so I'm really enjoying it. It's not like anything. It's just entertaining to watch.
Right.
It's not like blowing my mind or anything. I don't care for Cecily Strong as an actor all that much.
Okay.
I do like Keegan-Michael Key a lot. It's not that I don't care for her. I just don't think she's a very good actress.
Okay.
She's fine on SNL. I actually think she's pretty good.
Yeah, I liked her on SNL a lot.
I think it's worth watching, but I'm not done with it yet. So I'll talk about it more in the future. Do you got anything real quick? Just to mention?
Ted Lasso episode 2 I watched. That's also week to week.
We'll talk to
tomorrow. That's obviously a wonderful show. I got to finish Dave. I finished the first season of Yellowstone. I need to get into more episodes of that, more seasons of that. I'm into it.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was as OC as you called it.
Oh, really? It's a soap opera, man.
I mean, it is a soap opera, absolutely, but it wasn't an off-putting soap opera in my mind.
No, I didn't say that. I mean, I'm not saying there's nothing there. I watched like all 3 seasons.
Yeah.
And I want to watch the next one.
Yeah. That's how I feel. That's about it.
So we'll talk about some of those things next week, and then Batman as well, and then probably Suicide Squad. So we got a lot to cover next week.
And I need to see Black Widow.
And Black Widow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was supposed to watch that this week too, but that didn't happen.
That's fine. We'll talk about, that was going to be our big thing.
Yeah.
But
I know.
Instead, we watched, both watched Jungle Cruise. So Monday was my anniversary.
Okay.
And we just wanted to go to a movie. We're like, I want to go to a movie, like in the middle of the day. We both kicked off work.
Love it.
We're like, let's go to a movie, like right in the early afternoon, and then we'll go get dinner.
Yeah.
So
you went to see Jungle Cruise?
Listen, here's the deal. there's nothing out.
No, I know there really isn't.
So we had already seen Black Widow.
Yeah.
And so our options basically were Jungle Cruise or that Matt Damon movie, Stillwater.
Okay, yeah, and I don't even know anything about that.
It's like basically, remember that story a couple years ago, that American girl that got in like a murder situation in like Italy or something, and she got arrested?
Well, yeah, isn't that...
I can't remember her name.
For murder.
Yeah. Basically, this is a similar story. This guy's from Oklahoma, and his daughter is living in France, and her roommate shows up dead, and they arrest her, and he is going over there to like try and get her, clear her name.
Yeah.
And then things quickly go sideways, and then he's basically like being the investigator.
Oh, to try to like free her?
Try and free her. So anyway, it is just something, it looked like no interest to me whatsoever. I don't know. Something has changed in my brain where I can't watch normal movies like that anymore. I don't care.
Why?
I don't want to watch it. It looked dumb. So but I didn't want to see Jungle Cruise because I'm like, that'd be good to go with the kids, you know?
Yeah.
So, but we're like, you know what? Okay, let's just go to the IMAX and watch Jungle Cruise.
Yeah.
It's a big IMAX-y movie.
And the kids can watch Jungle Cruise at home streaming anyways.
They don't care anyway.
Yeah.
The Cash is the only one that might want to see it. So we went to see it. And, I mean, do you want to get initial reactions?
Yes.
There's things to like.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
I'm not saying there's not things to like. I found it to be a pretty boring movie in general.
Yeah.
It's not that it was boring. It's just...
It has action.
It has good action.
Yeah, very good action. It has an okay story, but it's very shallow.
It's shallow, and also like there was some twists that I didn't see coming.
Yep.
For sure. And I guess we can do some spoilers, but there was a lot of things about it. There was probably more positives than negatives.
You can't go into this with expectation of it being some like outstanding movie.
It's basically a remake of the Pirates of the Caribbean movie. It's like beat for beat. It's Pirates of the Caribbean. It's basically the same thing, just not quite as good.
I guess I don't remember Pirates of the Caribbean that well to...
It's a very, very, very similar to Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. And beat for beat, it's kind of the same type of thing.
Yeah, where somebody needs a ride and he gives them a
You know,
ride.
it's just, you know, they're chasing after something. There's the villain that's like in the real world that's chasing them. And then there's like the
evil, like... Yeah, like cursed villain.
So this is this is one of my issues, right? Why are they trying to do so much? Like, honestly, after watching it, I thought, and I didn't think much going into it, but after watching it, I'm like, they had a real opportunity here to make a real cool movie.
You think so?
They could have, it was like a not as good knockoff of Pirates of the Caribbean, but if it could have been a little better, it could have been like Pirates of the Caribbean, and that was a good movie.
Yeah.
It could have been Indiana Jonesy.
I thought it was relatively Indiana Jonesy.
Kind of, but you know,
I thought it
missed a little bit of seriousness to get it to there.
I agree. There was very little seriousness, but I think it reminded me more of Indiana Jones just because of the time frame
and adventure.
Adventure.
I didn't,
the maps.
but I didn't care for any. They tried to do too much with the whole monster villain things, which don't even really pay off. They're barely in the movie. And it doesn't make any real necessary sense to the plot. Why even have them? You don't need them.
No, you really didn't need them in the movie at all. You knew about them, but you didn't need to bring them back.
You didn't need them at all. It was fine if it was them running from, was it Jesse Plemons as the villain?
Yeah.
Fantastic job, by the
I
way.
liked him a lot.
In fact, across the board, the acting was incredible.
I tell you what, that dude chew up the scenery.
Absolutely.
And it was supposed to be like a cheesy German type accent. I think on purpose.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
and he was a bit of a silly villain, but he did a great job.
I loved him.
He did a great job. Emily Blunt was fantastic.
She's very, very good.
The Rock was really good in it.
Yeah.
Like
for the role that he had,
for the role, the action's great. The visuals are fantastic.
They spent money on this.
They spent money
for sure.
Listen, it's hard for me to sit here and criticize it. It does what it's supposed to do. And it hits the target audience that it's supposed to hit, which is not us.
So, and that's what I wanted to bring up. I brought my kids to the to the movie. Now Graham,
I
it
would think-
didn't.
yeah.
It didn't. He didn't register any of it. He could care less. He was sad that we weren't seeing the bunny movie again.
Yeah.
Because I took him. I took all three of the boys one random Friday to see Peter Rabbit 2. They loved it. It was super boring. I did not enjoy that movie, but Graham absolutely loved that movie, and he thought we were going to go see that movie again. And then when we got there, he was very disappointed that we weren't. The other two boys enjoyed it. Grady loved that movie. He thought it was very fun.
A great movie.
He loves The Rock, first of all.
Yes, kids that like The Rock, and boys and girls, anywhere from the age of. It may be a little scary for a 6-year-old, but.
I mean, Grant went, he just turned 7, and he did have times where he was scared.
But that's good, right?
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. It wasn't like terrifying to where it shook him to his core and he never wants to go to a movie theater again. It got like where he was nervous and didn't know how to react, and kind of hid his face with those monster type things. And I think that's where they played into that, where the monster evil, possessed people, had a bigger effect on the kids than it did us as adults. Like, they obviously seemed very unnecessary, but it put that shock and suspense in for a kid. And it did very well at that. And Grady came out of that and was like, man, Dad, that was awesome.
Yeah, no, I mean, for a 6 to 13-year-old,
yeah,
or even a teenager, it'd be a great movie. It's a great movie.
It is.
But, and an adult can sit down and watch it, and enjoy it. I can't imagine rewatching it a bunch of times.
No, I wouldn't. And when we went,
there's some good humor in it, especially if you're familiar with the ride at Disney World. I mean, there is a lot of Disney. It's based on a ride at Disney World that's been around for decades.
Yeah.
Probably
Forever,
since the
almost.
beginning of Disney World in Florida anyway. And if you've never been on this ride, it is literally a boat trip around like a jungly boat trip.
Like an Amazon River type.
And you have a guide that's standing up there and driving the boat. Not really. And just one after another ridiculous puns.
Yeah.
And all of those puns are basically in the movie.
Yeah.
And so if you enjoy that, I think it's one of the worst rides at Disney World, to be honest with you. I hate it. But if you enjoy that ride for nostalgic reasons, you will like that. And I did like that, even though I'm not a fan of the ride. It's a really old, kind of boring ride.
Yeah, now it is. At the time, it was.
But people love it, man. People love it because it's nostalgic, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so that aspect I thought was pretty good, and it had a lot of humor in it, and the humor was fine.
And The Rock is, I think, hilarious on his delivery.
The Rock's a national treasure.
He is.
And,
he really is.
And Emily Blunt is really a national treasure to the UK, I suppose. I wish.
And
she's very good.
The guy that played her brother was phenomenal.
Oh yeah, he was great.
I don't know what actor that was. I'd have to look up his name, but he was absolutely
you know what's funny?
great.
Because they actually it's almost like they want to position you to not like that character, but he's constantly making you like him. Like they want to make him like the fumbling buffoon, but he's not really.
No, he reminded me of like the brother in Frasier, like Frasier Crane's brother. Like you have Frasier, this like the serious one, and then you have his brother Niles, who is always like doing something relatively goofy, but they're trying to be very serious and proper.
Yeah.
He was that. He was trying to be serious and proper, but always had this like issue, something happening to him all the time. And I liked it. I thought it was fun.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think I'm talking myself into maybe enjoying it better than I did. I didn't really come out of that movie. I mean, I found stretches of that movie where I'm just like literally I could look at my phone.
Yeah.
You
No, and I agree. I had times like that as well.
The ending is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's so dumb. They finally get to where they're going, and it's a whole big thing. And then, for no reason, it's like
you have 1 second.
you have
to
1
grab
second to
pedal.
do something, and then also it's like, well, isn't there going to be more during the next Moonlight?
Yes, absolutely. It had to be a certain type of moon.
Which I mean, presumably would be, at least a couple times a year.
Pretty often, because it's not like they time their trip out to be on
Right,
that
they just
specific
happen to
moon.
be there 2 days before.
Yeah. So yes, that part was goofy. And when we left the movie and came right to the dinner that was provided to us that evening. And Amy and I both had told you, we had seen it, and we were like, yeah, it was fine.
Yeah.
It was a fun time in the afternoon because I love going to the movies regardless. I just think it's a fun trip, especially with the family and everything. And to see the kids enjoy something, I think is really fun. But at the end of the day, I would never tell anybody on their anniversary to go watch it at the movie theater.
I mean, and we wouldn't normally. It just happened to be there's nothing out.
Yeah.
So my recommendation is bring your kids.
Yes.
Go to the movie theater and see it. You won't be disappointed. Your kids will enjoy it. Or spend the $30.
Watch it at home.
I wouldn't wait if I had kids and you like movies and your kids like movies. I think it's worth paying the $30 or going to the theaters to see it before it comes out free in 6 months from now?
Yes. I would go as far as saying go to the theaters to see it. I think you will enjoy the experience more going to the theaters to see it than you would at home.
If you got younger kids, I would not take them to the IMAX. It's so loud.
Oh, we didn't do IMAX. We just went to Joliet. But
well, we did the GDX in Oswego.
oh yeah, that's your jam.
That's my jam.
I would never. I don't know if you'll get the same experience, or even if your kids would get the same experience out of this movie at home, because it does have a lot of big action that I think lends itself better to a big screen.
No doubt about that.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, we saw it in theaters, me and Marley. I will probably still pay the $30 for the kids to be able to see it at home. I'm not taking the kids back to the theater.
Well, no.
I'm not going to
you
sit
ruined
through it.
The experience.
I'm not going to sit through the movie again. I don't know that I could, to be honest.
I would just stare at my phone the whole time, probably.
Yeah.
Because you already know what's going to happen.
Yeah. And it's fine.
Yeah. I agree.
But I had no expectations going in. I definitely didn't have high expectations.
I didn't have high expectations, but I had seen trailers for it previously and actually where I really saw most of the trailers was when I took the boys to that Peter Rabbit movie, and I saw the full-length trailer for it. I had only seen like snippets of this going to be a thing. I saw the full-length trailer for it then, and I looked at Grady and I was like, we need to go see that.
Yeah.
Like it looked like a fun experience for us to go see. And so that's what we did. And it worked. It let me down for what the expectations I had for it. I thought it was going to be a little bit better.
I just don't think it's shot as high as the mark for like Pirates of the Caribbean.
No.
And I don't think it took the road that it could have taken of Indiana Jones.
I agree.
Where it's maybe aimed at a little bit older audience. Mm-hmm. Still appropriate for kids, but maybe more of an adult movie, which obviously it's meant to be a kid's movie.
Yeah,
I mean, it is. An enjoyable. I like that it's a kid's movie that's not a kid's movie, right? So it's definitely something that's a general all audiences type movie. Mm-hmm. But it's right on the line.
I agree.
Honestly, it's probably better than what I expected it to be.
Oh, really?
For a movie based off of what I consider to be a pretty crappy ride.
Yeah, just an awful, horrific, just terrible ride.
Oh my gosh, I closed the thing that had the talk about something.
You are awful. How can I talk about anything now? I mean, we covered every base of Jungle Cruise. We've ruined the video podcast of this episode, and now we're just
it's working now. Finally,
it is.
Yeah.
And now we're just ruining the last half of it.
I think it might have been when you plugged your phone in.
When I plugged my phone in?
Yeah, I think you plugged your phone in and it fixed it. Okay, so I got the list. This had me thinking on the way here. I'm like, we should do, is it possible to do a list of movies based on rides? Because that's a very rare thing.
It is.
A movie would be based on a theme park ride. And it would only happen in the world of Disney. But
you would think.
I looked it up. This article is actually from the AARP. Weirdly enough. Of movies based on, this is specifically based on Disney World and Disneyland attractions.
Okay.
You want to know what some of them are?
Yeah, of course I do.
1997, there was a little movie starring Kirsten Dunst and Steve Guttenberg.
Okay.
Of Police Academy fame, called Tower of Terror.
Oh, like the legit Tower of Terror, huh?
Originally presented as part of the Wonderful World of Disney, this made-for-TV movie was the studio's first film based on an attraction. Steve Guttenberg stars as a disgraced tabloid journalist who sets out with his young niece, Anna, to investigate a mysterious disturbance. On Halloween 1939, lightning struck the Hollywood Tower Hotel, and 5 guests who were in the elevator at the time vanished without a trace. Looking ahead, Scarlett Johansson is set to produce and potentially star in a new movie based off the thrill ride. Probably not going to happen now.
No, definitely not.
Much of the hotel footage was filmed at the actual attraction in Hollywood studios. I love the Tower of Terror. It's one of my favorite rides in the world because it's part thrill ride, part big drop, but part experiential thing.
Yeah.
So I love that ride.
I love Tower of Terror as well. I remember going on it. Nolan is in the chat on YouTube, and he said the Tower of Terror movie with exclamation points. And I asked him, I said, you know the movie, Nolan? And he said, I totally sent that before he said it.
Oh, really?
He said it before we did. So apparently, yes, he is absolutely.
I've never seen it. I would watch it probably, except maybe not. I don't know. Mission to Mars is another. It's at Epcot, and it's the one where you load in like you're loading onto a space capsule.
A capsule, yes.
But it's basically a gravitron. It spins you and sucks you back into the seat.
Okay, I've been.
And you got to push some buttons.
Yes.
And everybody's got to work together.
Yep.
But every time you get in a cabin, there's like 5 seats with other people. Nobody ever pushes the buttons, and I'm like, if you're not going to push the buttons,
why are you on here? What are you doing? Are you trying to save us? Are you trying to go to Mars?
Yes. We all know the buttons don't do anything.
Right.
But that guy told you to pull the lever.
So pull the lever.
We have boosters. We have to detach. It's a terrible ride. It's not one of my favorite rides.
You just spin.
Mission to Mars was never one of Disney's most popular attractions. In fact, it shut down at Disneyland in 1992 and the Magic Kingdom in 1993. But it's at Epcot, so I don't understand that. And in Epcot, it is narrated by Gary Sinise. He's the astronaut in the ride.
I remember that.
And this movie starred Gary Sinise and Jerry O'Connell, who loves our podcast.
He does.
Nevertheless, the studio spent $100 million on a sci-fi epic directed by Brian De Palma. He's pretty famous. With a score of Hollywood legend something or other. And the first manned mission to Mars ends in disaster. A crew of astronauts played by Tim Robbins, Connie Nielsen,
Ooh, love a good Tim Robbins movie.
Gary Sinise, and Jerry O'Connell head to the Red Planet to rescue sole survivor Don Cheadle. Despite some impressive special effects, the film was panned by critics and was nominated for a Raspberry.
Ooh, a Raspberry Award.
For Worst Director. That was in 2000.
Only one man would use Raspberry. Lone Star.
Oh, while the original ride is no longer, props for the movie now appear in the queue at Epcot's Mission Space. That's the movie they ride at Epcot, but it's
Mission
the same
Space,
ride,
yeah.
I think. Mission Space. Or maybe they changed the ride. I don't know what the original ride was, but that's the ride at Epcot is Mission Space, and it has Gary Sinise.
Okay.
The next one would be a 2002 movie called The Country Bears.
The Country Bears. I don't know if I know this one.
In Frontierland, in the Magic Kingdom,
Yeah.
there is the Country Bear Jamboree. It is one of my favorite things to do.
It is?
You go into a little theater, and there is a bunch of animatronic bears.
Yeah.
And they sing country western songs.
I don't know if I've done that.
It's amazing.
I don't know if I have or not.
I love it. We do it. One time we were there when I think
And I'm sure it doesn't change, does it?
never changes.
Yeah.
Never
It's all the
changes.
same. Yeah.
We've seen it a million times. One time we went there when Cash was little and started raining. Well, it's inside, right?
Yeah.
So we just kept doing it. We saw it like 3 times in a row.
Oh.
And it's not very long. It's maybe 15 minutes, but it's a little show. And I mean, it's on a stage, and they have curtains that come up and down, and there's other bears, different places. And it's like, there's like 5 songs that these bears do. It's great.
How do you feel like if you worked in that area of the park and you just had to live through that
Yeah,
every
nonstop.
day of your life?
And it's kind of like a little bit, there's some of the lyrics are a little randy.
Really?
Yeah, which I like.
Randy,
Yeah.
baby.
Based on Frontierland's musical review, The Country Bear Jamboree, this trippy movie features animatronic bears suits created by Jim Henson's Creature Shop.
Oh, nice.
And a world in which humans and anthropomorphic bears live together in harmony. The Country Bears, an all-bear rock band, has disbanded, and the greedy banker Reed Thimple, Christopher Walken, is threatening to tear down their old concert hall. Preteen club Barry Barrington, voiced by Haley Joel Osment,
Oh, nice.
Sets out to reunite the band for the benefit concert to save the theater. The film was a flop, but you'll be impressed by the amount of stars who make cameos as themselves, including Don Henley, John Hyatt, Sir Elton John, Queen Latifah, Willie Nelson, and Bonnie Raitt.
Wow. What year did that come out?
2002. It's clearly probably a kids movie.
Oh, yeah. It's got to be. 2002.
So Big Al, the groundskeeper at Country Bear Hall, is one of the fan favorite singing bears at Disney World. He is.
Yeah.
Where he plays an out-of-tune guitar and croons Tex Ritter's morbid "Blood on the Saddle." he gets out there with like one string. He goes, "Boom, there's blood on the saddle. Boom, there's blood everywhere.
Jeez.
Boom."
You know this whole song, don't you?
Blood on the saddle. It's funny. I like it. It's on Disney Plus.
Do you know the whole song?
No, I don't. But there's not much more to it than that.
Okay.
The Haunted Mansion, 2003. Eddie Murphy. You ever see this one?
The Haunted Mansion. I believe I've seen the movie. Yes.
I've seen it many times. In fact, my kids were watching it recently. We watched it like last year around Halloween. It's not as bad as I remember. I remember when it came out, watching it and being like, this is terrible. And it's panned as like a terrible movie.
Really?
But I've watched it recently with the kids, and I actually didn't think it was terrible. Realtors Jim and Sarah, Eddie Murphy, and Marsha Thompson are summoned to Gracie Manor, a spooky estate deep in Louisiana's bayou country, and they soon find that there's more than meets the eye inside the walls. Once there, they encounter a cast of ghostly residents that include the Footman, Ezra, and Madame Leota, a floating head and a crystal ball. The Dapper Dans, a barbershop quartet that performs at Disney theme parks around the world, voice the mansion's singing busts.
Oh, yeah. I remember that part.
Haunted Mansion's one of my favorite rides in Magic Kingdom. Love it.
Really?
Yeah.
Are all of these rides your favorite?
No, I didn't say
the Bears are your
didn't like
favorite.
Mission to Mars.
I know, but the Bears were your absolute favorite. Now this is your absolute favorite. I mean, where does it end?
I like Haunted Mansion. It's very like nostalgic. It's still old.
Yeah.
But stuff's been updated a little bit, and it's just it's like a nostalgic thing.
Cool.
When we went there with Dude and his family, we went on it at night.
Really?
None of the kids wanted to go on this ride. My kids hate it
Oh, they do?
because it's scary. Kind of.
I was going to say, is it really?
It is a little spooky, for sure. So none of the kids wanted to go at it. Finally, and we couldn't get in anyway. The lines were too long. I didn't have a fast pass. So we're there. We're waiting for the fireworks, and it's dark. Fireworks are like in an hour, and I'm able to get a fast pass. I'm like, I got a fast pass to Haunted Mansion. Let's go. And all the kids are like not wanting to go. We forced them in. We left that ride, and his two kids and my two, and Jet was probably too little
young,
to know. He
yeah.
was like 3 months old. So their two and my two were just bawling walking out of this ride. Absolutely bawling. It was like a ridiculous thing. And all the people around, you get this at Disney a lot. If you force kids to go on rides, which we do, because they'll enjoy it. You know?
Yeah, sure.
But lots of times they won't want to go on anything. You have to kind of force them to. You got to pull their arm a little bit.
Yeah.
Most of the time they love it when they get done. But the people at
That
Disney
time
World
they don't.
are super annoying. And because people in Disney are like hardcore Disney people. It's a lot of adults, right? And they just like, ugh, I hate it when people force their kids to go on rides and blah, blah, blah. Ruins the experience. And I'm just like, shut up. You're at a children's
away.
theme park. Yeah, I'm going to make my kid go at the Haunted Mansion.
Too bad.
Get over it.
Builds character, bud.
All right, next movie. Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, and its sequels. The undisputed champ of the Ride to Rio pipeline. The Pirates of the Caribbean and its 4 sequels, now 5.
5, yeah. And
there's a 6th coming out this next year. Rank as the 14th highest grossing franchise in film history with a total worldwide box office of $4.5 billion.
Holy cow. That seems like a lot.
Based on a So Weird It Works combination of Keith Richards and Pepe Le Pew, Captain Jack Sparrow, that's a great description.
Wow, yeah.
Is swashbuckling high point in Johnny Depp's career, earning him 2 Golden Globes. He joined, obviously, we all know the movie.
Right.
Also one of my favorite rides at Disney World. Probably my favorite ride at Magic Kingdom.
It is?
I love it. It's great.
Wow.
And the kids like it. It's a little scary, a little bit, but not too much.
Yeah.
It's a fun ride. I love. Never miss out on Pirates of the Caribbean at Disney World.
You just have to go.
Yeah, it's just you got to do it.
It's a mainstay. It's one that like
it's got a little thrill at the beginning, but then basically it's a slow boat ride, and just you're looking at animatronic pirates.
Yeah,
which sounds dumb, but it's not. It works.
I believe you.
I love the Pirates. Well, I've only really seen the first two.
I think I've seen 3. I know I haven't seen anything after that.
Yeah. Here's another one. Tomorrowland, 2015.
I liked the movie.
I'm going to tell you what, it's a fantastic movie.
I know, and a lot of people don't like it, and it didn't get very good reviews. If you look at the reviews right now, it's not very good.
Well, it came from director Brad Bird. Who
I
did
know.
Incredibles and Ratatouille.
And that's what drew me to it, is once I found out it was Brad Bird. Actually, what drew me to it was Kevin Smith's review of the movie, and he had watched it on a plane ride and talked it up like crazy. So I immediately came into this movie with pretty high expectations because I thought, man, this has got to be pretty good. And it was. It has a lot of heart. It's got a really good story. I loved it.
Screenwriter Damon Lindelof for Lost.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea that it was a ride, though.
It's not a ride. It's a world.
Oh,
in Magic
it is
Kingdom.
a world.
So there's like Frontierland, Adventureland, Tomorrowland, and the circus area, and then there's Fantasyland.
And Tomorrowland was there
Main Street.
prior to this movie being made.
Yeah. Tomorrowland was original to Disney World and Disneyland. But the two main rides, that's where Space Mountain is. And it can be seen in the city in the movie, like in the background. And then they have Spaceship Earth, which is the dome from Epcot, is in the movie as well, in the background somewhere. That's not Tomorrowland at Epcot, but Tomorrowland is at Magic Kingdom. So it's not technically based on a ride, but it is.
No, but a world.
And I think it's actually a fantastic movie.
Yep, loved it. George Clooney.
It's on Disney Plus. If you haven't seen it, I'd highly recommend watching it.
I suggested it as well.
My kids like it too. And then the last one is Jungle Cruise that just came out that we've talked about at length.
Yes, we did. Nolan said, you're shocked that your children were hesitant/scared to go into the Haunted Mansion.
My kids have been on the Haunted Mansion. First of all, they'd been on it before because we'd been there before that time we went with.
That's why they knew, like, I don't want to go back.
So we went to Disney, what was it, 2 years ago, the last time we went. That was post that crying excursion.
Okay.
But Cash was a little older. Sky was a little older.
Yeah.
Cash was old enough. He was probably 7.
He was 12 at the time.
Yeah. He was old enough old enough to where you can understand that it's fake.
Yeah.
And it's not really that scary, honestly. So we go,
and that, like, you would obviously know, like, nothing is going to touch you.
right. So we go in, and he did not want to go, but again, we forced him because we're evil parents.
Yeah, absolutely. Just
so we go in.
horrendous.
The first part of the ride is you go into this room, this round room with a bunch of people before you go on the ride.
Yeah.
And so we immediately walk into this room, and I turn to Marley and I go, oh, yeah, I completely forgot about this part.
Oh, no.
It's the worst part.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about it. I don't know. I've been on a ride 10 times, but I forgot about it. Not 10 times, maybe 5 times. But what happens is all the lights go off, and this super deep, creepy voice like starts talking to you.
Yeah.
And then the lights go on, and they start flashing up to these portraits on the wall that are like just of people, like old pictures of people.
Yeah.
And then the room starts stretching. Well, what you don't know
Weird.
is like you're on an elevator.
Yeah.
But they make it a feature. And as the room stretches down, you can see the portrait of the person is here. But as it stretches down, it reveals the portrait gets taller. And you can see how they died.
Oh.
So like one person might be standing on like a rope above an alligator with open mouth.
Yeah.
And it's very tongue in cheek.
Sure.
But just the voice and the flashing lights and the darkness
Can be very creepy, I'm sure.
It is creepy.
Yeah.
It is creepy. I could totally understand, that part, which I completely forgot about because we hadn't been there in a couple of years and whatever.
Yeah. So they're scarred and never want to go back then.
Yeah. They'll go on it again.
Did you go the last time you were there?
We did not go to Disney World. No.
Oh, that's right. You didn't go to Disney World at all. I forgot.
No, we went to Universal Studios.
You did.
So
Yes.
Oh, I'm just looking at the comments. David said, Harf has 38 favorite rides at Disney, and Jerry watched 16 hours of TV shows every day after school.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, for the most, I mean, I'll have to listen to it back, but I'm pretty sure I said one of my favorite single time.
Every time you talked about one, you're like, this is by far my favorite.
No, I did not say
of
that.
all time.
My favorite ride at Magic Kingdom is Pirates of the Caribbean.
What's your favorite ride anywhere else? Like, what's your favorite ride at Universal Studios?
Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure.
What's your favorite ride at one of the other parks?
What other park?
I don't know. Is there any?
Well, that one, Hagrid's, is at Islands of Adventure. At Universal Studios, my favorite ride was probably The Mummy.
Oh, The Mummy. That is a good one. I've been on that one.
Yeah. And then at Animal Kingdom, my favorite ride.
The Mummy was great.
Yeah. It's like a roller coaster.
It's a roller coaster
Indoor.
inside of a building. Yeah.
My favorite ride at Animal Kingdom would be either Flight of the Avatar
Conchords?
one. The Avatar one. It's like Flight of the something or other.
The Blue Cats.
But you're flying on the dragon. It's a virtual reality one. It's awesome.
I'm aware.
And or Expedition Everest, which is the big roller coaster there, which is a fun roller coaster.
Oh, I don't know if I did that one.
Yeah, it's like a roller coaster, a regular real one.
I'm almost positive I did.
It gets up at the top and then it goes backwards for like a long ways.
Oh, I thought you got up to the top and then they were like, all right, here's your pickaxe. Like your ice pick. You gotta
There's a Yeti up there.
You gotta climb the rest of the way up.
My favorite ride at Hollywood Studios is, that's tough. Probably, honestly, I've been on Rise of the Resistance, which is the one everybody is freaking out about.
Yeah.
I think it's still Tower of Terror. It's probably my favorite one there.
Really?
Yeah.
Over the, what is it called? Rise of the Resistance?
Yeah.
Over that.
I only went on Rise of the Resistance once, so maybe if I could try it again.
That's a whole experience, man.
It is. Well, if you take the totality of the experience, yeah, I'd probably have to say Rise of the Resistance because there's so much that goes into it and like the loading queue.
Right. That's what I mean. I remember
incredible.
you explaining all that and it sounded amazing.
My favorite ride at Epcot.
That's part of the ride.
Epcot,
You have to take that.
Epcot doesn't have a lot of good rides. Epcot's kind of
Yeah, really.
Honestly,
a real dud.
It's probably the Frozen ride at Epcot.
Really.
It's just a slow boat ride, but it's whatever.
Let it go, man.
Let it go.
Let it go.
But that's where the Guardians of the Galaxy indoor roller coaster is going to be.
I want
Epcot.
I want all of that in my life.
Yeah.
I love Guardians of the Galaxy.
Maybe we'll do a Snarf road trip this winter.
Man, I really want to. I need to go somewhere bad.
The thing about Disney now, because people ask us all the time, they're like, "Oh,
You're
we want
pros.
to go to Disney with you because you know everything." I'm like, "Yeah, but I don't want to be your shepherd." It's hard to do.
Yeah, you
It's
do.
hard to do big groups there. That's hard.
I mean, you don't necessarily need a big group of people.
Here's the
but
thing. Me and Marley and my family, we go. We get there an hour early.
Yeah.
We don't stop all day, and we stay for the fireworks at 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. Like, we don't take breaks.
But that sounds awful to me. Like, why would you want to put yourself through that? Why not enjoy it?
I do enjoy it. I do enjoy it. I'm not saying it's not like work.
Sounds like it.
No, it's just having a schedule and walking from here to there.
Yeah, but it sounds like work. Sounds like what you're doing is work.
Well,
When you explain it, it's like, we go. We don't stop. We don't take breaks. We don't eat.
no, we eat.
It sounds like you
I
don't even eat.
schedule. Yeah, we eat at a certain restaurant for lunch. We eat at a certain restaurant for dinner.
Does it have to be the same restaurants each time?
No, but you have to have reservations. So you got to make those reservations like months in advance.
You have to have reservations to every place you go to?
Sit down meals, yeah.
Really?
You want to sit down? Other than at like a quick service, they call it, which is like order to counter,
Oh, yeah.
like a cafeteria or a fast food restaurant type
Yeah.
thing. So we do that for lunch most of the time. But for dinner, we like to sit down and have like a regular meal.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Sounds fun. Well, we've reached our
like-
time, Chris.
Bathroom breaks, they're scheduled. You go to the bathroom at this time because this is the bathroom break.
I believe you. I believe that's a thing that you would do.
No, it isn't so much that. It isn't that intense. But it is very much of like, if we're stopping to go to the bathroom, everybody's going to the bathroom.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And I understand that.
Because other than that, it's like nonstop.
And that makes sense to me that you would put everybody into the bathroom. I mean, that I feel like is general knowledge for any family
Right.
on any trip. Like everybody's going right now. or the trip's over.
Right, or we're going home. Now, in the future, that's a good thing about having gone a bunch of times. Now, I think we've gone like 4 times.
Yeah.
Is like, I don't really care about any of them because I've been on them a bunch of times, and nothing at Disney World is like, it's not like Six Flags where it's like thrill rides.
No.
Or even like Universal Studios to an extent, or Dollywood even, like where those are like roller coasters and thrill rides that you like want to ride over and over again.
Yeah.
At Disney, you know, they're more like experiential rides. And like once you've done it a couple times, you're like, I get it. I can do it. It'll be great.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
But if we miss it,
just,
that's fine.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. If I went with people now, I'd be like, well, these are the things we can comfortably hit without like running ourselves ragged.
Yeah.
And I don't care to miss the other things. The problem is everybody wants to go. If you're going to Magic Kingdom, everybody wants to go like, well,
to everything.
I want to go do it all because I don't want to have to come back another day or another time.
Right.
You know, so I want to get it all done. Well, it takes a day and a half to do Magic Kingdom.
Really? No matter what.
A day and a half a day and a half will comfortably do about everything you want to do.
That's crazy.
Missing, and I skip the things that suck. Like, It's a Small World. No,
absolutely
not doing it.
No. I don't even know why that's still there.
You know, and honestly, it gets easier too when your kids get older because you don't have to do the stupid character meet and greets.
Yeah.
That is so time consuming.
Yeah, I would not do that.
Yeah, but
I don't think my kids would even care about that.
you know, they love it. Surprisingly.
Really?
Yeah, they like it. You want to do a little bit, you know, here and there, but you know, when we first were going, we wanted to do all of them.
That's silly. That seems silly.
It just depends. Like when we used to go,
Yay.
we'd go in February. There was nobody there. You could just kind of go do whatever you wanted to do.
Right.
That doesn't exist anymore, man.
Not now.
No, it doesn't matter what. Time
I don't think
of year you
I don't
go.
think it'll exist again.
Never will exist again.
No.
There's so many,
especially with the
people
park
that
expanding.
want to go every year.
With the park expanding though, and the new Star Wars stuff and the new Marvel stuff, all of that I think is drawing more people to the park.
Well, you think, okay, well that's going to draw all these people over there, so that
but
leaves the rest of the park. But
No,
it
it
just
doesn't.
draws more people.
That's what I mean. Yeah. It's not like separate to one area. Yeah, it might draw a lot of people to one area, but I guarantee you the next day or the day after, they go to the next park because you're down there.
Yeah.
You know? And if they haven't ever been there before, they're going to hit both.
You can do Animal Kingdom in one day. You can do Epcot in one day. You can do Hollywood Studios in a day and a half now with Star Wars.
Wow.
And then you can do Magic Kingdom in a day and a half.
So there's 5 days
5 days.
for all of it.
Yep.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah. You could break it up if you go for a full week.
I don't care what I miss either because you don't know what you miss if you've never done it before,
Yeah.
especially as a child. Like children don't know what they've missed.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I mean,
the children
it's not
don't know
for
what they
you,
miss.
right? A lot of the rides are not interesting for adults at all.
That's
but
what I mean.
you want to go on it because you want to see your children
Yeah.
have a great time.
And they're going to have a great time with whatever you do make it to.
Yeah.
Just because you have the knowledge of whatever else is around at the park doesn't mean that they're missing out.
I know enough now that I know where the best bang for your buck is as far as whatever experience you want your children to have, you or your children to have.
Yeah.
You know,
I get it.
because there's lots of stuff we don't do. Like we don't go to a lot of the shows. I mean, there's great like live shows, like plays.
Oh,
and
yeah,
musicals.
yeah.
You know, we've done them all before, but we don't go back to them all the time. So,
Okay. Well, we've reached our time for episode 136, Christopher. We're over. If you haven't checked out our Patreon in a while, go ahead and check that out. I need to upload another song.
patreon.com/snarfcomics, and we got some more content coming for that channel real soon.
Yep. Whenever I get to it, one of these days, we got more content.
But we're recording more content for it.
Absolutely. Check out all of our social media, Facebook, Snarf Talk. Is it Snarf Talk? Everything's Snarf Talk now, right?
I don't know.
Snarf Talk podcast or snarfcomics.com. You type in the word Snarf. I guarantee you, you're going to find a goat.
It is snarftalk.com.
Yeah.
No.
It is snarftalk.com, the website. Check it out. Give us a like, give us a share, do whatever you can do to spread the gospel of Snarf.
For Snarf Talk this week,